Good morning. This is Two Brothers Sports. I got my brother over here in Louisiana again. We're in week 5, and we're just going to jump on. We're not going to do a lot of commentary this week. We did want to give our predictions for the week, and we're going to start off with the first game being the Buffalo Bills +1 against the Houston Texans. And so we're liking that. We're still sticking kind of like with Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, for all the reasons that we talked on previous weeks. Really, Houston is playing a little bit better, but I still believe that Buffalo, with the exception of one of the games they struggled in, are still one of the best teams in football, AFC or NFC alike. And so we're going to stick with them to be able to cover that spread this week against Houston, Stroud and company. Brad, anything to add? Any ideas about that? What are you thinking about Houston?
Well, after the high expectations of the Houston Texans, in my opinion, I don't think Texas is all that from this kind of large sample size. We're about a quarter through the season, and I haven't been real impressed with the way they're playing. Buffalo Bills, on the other hand, yeah, they kind of wet the bed against the all good teams have a letdown. I still think Buffalo is for real, and so I mean, with number
Yeah,
17 and all that, I that
for
that's why I
sure.
like the pick.
For sure. And he's got a lot of weapons around him with Matt Collins and Curtis Samuel. And, he's still got the two tight ends that we really like in Cade Knox, and they really are likes having super receivers. And then one of my favorite guys is Scatling. I really like him. I think he's gonna get some good numbers by the time the year's old. I think we're still gonna see that unfold that way. So anyway, that's our prediction for that game. Moving on to the Oakland Raiders against the Denver
Hey,
Broncos.
hey, you betcha.
There you go. It's not an easy prediction. We're kind of going against our rules a little bit, but we do like the way that the Raiders are playing right now, or at least versus the Denver Broncos. We think that but they did beat the Jets, but then again, we'll move on to that game later because we like the Vikings against them this week, and we're gonna talk about that further on down the road. But my brother was talking about the Jets, and I believe it's true that they're kind of not really coached as well. There's a little bit of miscommunication between Aaron Rodgers and what would be more effective for him in terms of play calling and all that stuff. I mean, when he gets the opportunities, he can do it, but there seems like there's a little disconnect there between the coaching staff and the offense right now.
Well, and then let's just put the Raiders off hold since you brought up so much about the Jets. Let's just stay there with the Jets in Minnesota.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, the coaching. Uh, Rodgers lives with his feelings on his sleeve. There's obviously something's not clicking between him and the coach, who
Mm-hmm.
I believe that he's going to be. Sila's definitely on the hot seat after they looked, and I think this week I think that Minnesota, they're ranked number 2 in defense. They got
Yeah,
Shakur Griffin in the defensive backfield. They got Seymour. Oh my God. Yeah, I forgot that super Gilmore, Stephen Gilmore. The defensive backfield has really showed up for them, and then on offense, enough said. Addison and all the weapons they have, and
right.
Darnold is
I'm getting
what we
Jefferson
thought
back.
he was going to be.
Yeah,
He looks like the second coming of what kind of similar what happened to Alex Smith, as we both talked about several weeks ago, and so I like Minnesota in that game a whole lot. I think Aaron Rodgers. I think that ship might have sailed.
yeah, and I like him at home too. And I don't really think there's a lot not to like about him this year. In the last 4 games, they really haven't played against scrub teams, and they haven't just won by a little margin. So it's kind of hard not to stay on the Vikings. Although it's always hard to wage to predict against Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, I would agree with everything that he said. I think that we have to go with the wave of what's happening, what the world of what's happening now in the NFL. And I think my brother's that wave might have sailed, maybe not, but against Vikings at home this week, we definitely feel that they're going to cover the -2.5 on that. So yeah, that's good. That's good info on that, Brad. Appreciate it,
And
man.
keep in mind they're playing that in the morning, folks. That's an early morning game played in London. It's going to be 9:30 Eastern.
Yeah, well, time definitely makes a difference too. Those time at least you hear athletes and NFL players and basketball players. Almost every kind of athlete talks about what the traveling deal is and how that affects performance and all that stuff too. Um, yeah. So then go back to the Oakland Raiders versus Denver. Although the Denver were able to handle the Jets, we feel that the Raiders running game has picked up. That's the thing that's been pretty obsolete. The fact that the Raiders are 2-2 right now is kind of hard to believe with some of the things that have happened. It seems like they were in the first game, probably should have had that win against statistically, the fact that they didn't win that first game against the Chargers is really hard to believe. So we like them interdivision. They play interdivision pretty tough. I think although Denver's defense reminds me a lot of New England's in a lot of ways, they're playing pretty good defense. I think they're going to be able to get it done. Minshew actually is pretty accurate. He still has a lot of weapons around him, even without Adams. They've got the new guy, Tucker, when he goes, he can go deep. He's faster. He's very similar to Adams in a lot of ways, but he has nowhere near the price tag. So that's something my brother was talking about too. That's a little bit, that has nothing to do with wagering predictions, but a little bit to do with like whether they should keep Adams or not, all that kind of stuff. So my brother might have something to say about that, because what you were talking to me about this week, if you wanted to, this would be a good opportunity.
Well, I think that getting rid of Devontae Adams for Cap, I don't think it would really hurt. I think it's been a big distraction for the Raiders, and I think the Raiders have some young guys that can step up. And you're not going to. It's not easy to replace Devontae Adams, but
no, he is.
They got some guys that I think, like McAllister is listed as a wide receiver. He's kind of a hybrid. I mean, it's a stretch to say that he's Deebo Samuels, but he has some explosiveness. And I'd like to see some of these younger guys like Keaton from Texas, the rookie that's on the practice squad. I'd like to see him promoted. I don't think it would be a big loss to lose Devontae Adams. I really don't. Plus, it'd give us draft capital.
Yeah, well,
Denver
money
Bronco on the other.
Yeah, to make room with capital.
What was that?
I said, yeah, I agree. Like one of the biggest reasons isn't so much that you don't want everybody wants Devontae Adams, but the thing is that just the amount of money that he opens up for the team with the way they're struggling at other positions, they probably need that money to be more well-rounded. So, yeah, sometimes they're hard decisions to make. That's how we feel about Renfro sitting on the sidelines right now and no one picking him up. It's the biggest mystery maybe in football to me personally, is he's one of the best route runners I've ever seen. So I don't know what everyone else is looking at, but the fact he's not on the field is like, I feel like I'm in a different time warp or something, but that's a whole nother.
You're talking about Renfro?
Yeah, Renfro, yeah.
Yeah, why
Hunter
he's sitting
Renfro.
on the couch. Why he's sitting on the couch. Now, there was some mention, but it's all that, a lot of the art, a lot of them, they want you to keep reading. I saw some Hunter Renfro news this morning that even Denver is interested. But then I looked at Russell Wilson not happy in the Raiders. But you can't put a lot of validity because a lot of these stories are just that trash, garbage, hype. Keep you reading it.
We're kind of like second tier people, Brad. Like we would love to see him back with Derek Carr, with the Saints, and that's just the personal preference. That would be cool to see. They had a chemistry that was really something. It was special. Be cool to see him go over there right now, especially with that league with Baker Mayfield. You saw what happened at Atlanta Thursday night. What a game! That might have been one of the best Thursday night games for a long time. High scoring and just back and forth overtime and everything else, down to the last second, one of those kind of games. It's just amazing. But that division is picking up a little bit, even with Andy Dalton, even though we're talking about we don't like to use that term, but king of the trash. But we got to look at the people that are at the bottom of the pile too, because a lot of those people can upset.
Well,
they might only get 3, 4, 5 wins, or maybe, but
you're right, because what a difference a year makes when you look at the NFC South. It was like maybe one of the most trash divisions, and now it looks like there's several, 3 of those 4 teams, and Andy Dalton on any given Sunday. So even though they're the bottom tier in the 4th and last place, they can be a spoiler. That division is beating each other up a lot too.
Yeah, and we mentioned that on week 1 that we would watch out for the Falcons 4 or 5 weeks into the season, and Thursday night was the 5th game. So yeah, now we're really keeping an eye on it week to week. Now we're going to go into the Dallas Cowboys. We'll just cover this one really quick. Dallas, we just feel they're one of those underperformers this year. At least I think that. My brother's thinking that they might really be who everybody that they're not that good this year, right? So would that be an accurate statement? You don't think? I think that they're underperforming this year, and I think that their offense, when it's clicking, my brother did
Well,
see. You did make
the,
mention that my brother did make mention that he noticed at the end of the game that Elliott was running a lot better than he's seen him run in years. So that's important. That could be a game changer, and I think he's going to be able.
well, they've already and this morning just to speak on that confirms how you felt the whole season about them. What's his name? That last drive. Oh Jesus, what's his name? Jeff
Elliott,
Zeke Elliott.
yeah,
He
Elliott,
looks a lot more trim and looked a lot like he looked more. I mean, he looked good.
reminiscent,
He
reminiscent
showed
of the
signs.
way he used
Well,
to play.
they obviously saw what we saw in that last drive in the fourth quarter, which really solidified and saved the game for him against the Giants, because he's moved up and he fought his way back on the depth chart. I read that this morning. They are starting Zeke Elliott, so Elliott's
And
going to be getting 15.
everybody knows what Dak Prescott really can't do as a quarterback too. I know he's not performing that well, but he's still really a good quarterback, and he's got weapons over there. He is going to hit on cylinders eventually. He's going to have that game. And I think against Pittsburgh, I think mainly because of the offense. I think that one offense. I think they're going to be able to run on them this week with Elliott. I think they're going to be able to get some of that done with the receivers, tight ends, and so forth and so on. So I like them plus. I like Dallas plus against them, mainly due to the offense though. I know that
Yeah,
Dallas,
me too.
but I also like, and then my brother's game, we're throwing it on there. I like it too. We wouldn't have it on here, but he did make mention that the Packers against the Rams, who are pretty decimated at a lot of different positions too. Right, Brad? Like, want to say anything about the Packers and love being back on the
I
field?
mean, Jordan Love is. They really got beat, and they made that score and that game look closer. But for them to even do that, well, I mean, I don't care what anyone says. They still did that, and Jordan
Yeah,
Love was a big response. When it
yeah,
came out, you throw 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter is pretty damn good. So, I mean, I don't care who you're playing. It wasn't like that the other team wasn't like it wasn't like Minnesota wanted that to happen. They
right,
certainly saw the writing on the wall, and
yeah,
the NFL players. It wasn't like they had all their second stringers in there. They did that against first team, and
yeah.
it came
That's a
down to an
considerable.
onside kick. It came down to an
That's a
onside kick.
considerable comeback. That's a considerable comeback for any NFL team. So that does say a lot. We liked Love a lot. We thought, I mean, that was one of the main reasons we stayed off of Green Bay, because we think they're a really well-rounded team. And so the Rams have lost a lot of players.
And I'm sorry, who are they
Rams
playing
have
this
probably
week?
had more injuries than any other team the Rams have. So it's hard not to
Well,
take
and
the
I
Packers.
and the Rams are one of the worst rushing defenses allowed. In fact, I think they're like third worst in all of football. They've given up a lot of runs, and with
Yeah,
Josh Jacobs, our former Raider buddy over there now with Green Bay. We just think,
yeah,
and
yeah. He's
we
just
think they're
ran.
going to run it down their throat.
We're running out of time. It looks like so. We're going to have to take this really fast. So we're going to do the Commanders -3 versus the Browns. I just got a signal here that we're running out of time. We like them -3. And then we're not even going to go into that. Brad's going to talk a little about their quarterback over there. That's one of the main reasons. And then,
Well, the question with them, and everybody was convinced on paper that Washington had no good front line. But if you look at the ratings of their front linemen, they have really started to protect Jaden Daniels, and he's a speed demon like a Lamar Jackson kind of
yeah,
guy, but he's got an arm like Joe Montana. He's not just dinking and dunking, and it's
right.
one of the best stories in the league. LSU, Jaden Daniel, Heisman Trophy winner. I think they're going to tear them up. I think
Yeah,
they're
I
for
like that.
real.
We're running. Yeah, I'm only rushing because this thing's telling me run out of time. I don't know if we're going to be able to get it all in. So that's good. I'm glad you were able to sneak that one in. And then Vikings -2.5 against Aaron Rodgers. We talked a little bit about that already. So we're going to go ahead and get off. We'll see you next week. Like, subscribe, comment.
All right.
Bradley,
Love you, Jeff.
love you, brother. Peace. Talk to you later.
Peace. Bye.